Good morning all, this is Srividya, Assistant Professor, Department of CSIT. Today we will see functions in C programming. So what is a function? So why do we need functions in C programming? Suppose let's take a program like calculating subtraction of two numbers. So what we will do? We will take a main section. Actual execution of your program starts from the main section. And I ask you to calculate subtraction of two numbers. Subtraction of two numbers means we need three variables to store the data. So this is your memory, RAM, and we need two variables A, B. Suppose I am calculating subtraction of two numbers for 10 and 2. 10 and 2 and the resultant variable C to store this data after subtracting. So int A, B, C, printf, enter any two values. So we will use the scanf function to give the input address of A, address of B. C is equals to A minus B, printf, %d, C. So this is the basic sample program we have seen in structure of a C program also while discussing there. So subtracting the two numbers. To subtract two numbers, we need three variables to store the data A and B and C to store the resultant value. So printf, enter any two numbers, scanf %d, address of A and address of B. %d or the format specifiers for the integer data type. C is equals to A minus B, printf %d, C. After subtracting 10 minus 2, the value will be stored in the variable C. Suppose if I want to reuse the code or if I want to execute the same code for 2 times or 3 times or 5 times, if I ask you to calculate subtraction of two numbers for 10 times in your program. So what you will do? You will again write the subtraction code. Again void main int A, B, C, printf, enter any two numbers, scanf %d. All these lines whatever I have written here, you will repeat it again. So that is not at all a good practice. Without rewriting the code, is there any certain thing like I want to reuse the code? So yes, with the help of functions you can do that. Without writing the code again and again, or if I ask you to write the same, calculate subtraction for 5 times. Using functions, we can rewrite the code. So what you will do? Simply just remove this one and replace the value of the main function with the user defined functions. So this is, I have taken here sub sub and put the parentheses there. So now this is called a function. So how to execute this one? So just what I have done, I have removed the main section and given a name sub and put it in the parentheses. So now this is will become an user defined function. This function you can call. So where to call? So under this, write it void main. Actual execution of your program starts from the main function. Without main function you can't write or execute any program. So here I have taken here sub, means this is called the calling function. This is called the calling function. So now what? Whenever your execution begins, control will enter here, the main section. Now control will come here, sub. So compiler will understand this is a calling function, sub. User has initiated a function call. So now the control will check where the definition of this sub function was defined or where the code of this function was written. It was written here. So now the control will go here to this function definition part. So in the main section, actual execution of your program starts from the main function. In the main section, what we have written? Sub with parenthesis semicolon, means we have initiated a function call here. So now the compiler will understand. So this is the function call, but it will check where this function call was initiated, but where this function was defined. So it was defined here. It was defined here. So this is the user defined section. So now the control will go back, come here, and it will check the code. The result will execute, suppose 10 minus to 8. So control will go back again to the calling function. So here we have three cases: function declaration, how to declare a function, how to call a function, and how to define the function. So types of functions here: built-in functions, user-defined functions. Built-in functions are predefined functions already defined in the standard library. Suppose if we are using printf and scanf are all the predefined functions that exist in the library stdio.h, standard header file. Input and output. Scanf is an input function, printf is an output function. I can use those two functions in my program by using this header file. If I include that header file, those two functions you can use in your program. So they are built-in functions. Suppose I am using POW, power function, square root. I want to calculate this, cos, tan, some functions. So all these four example functions, these four functions whatever I have written, power, square root, cos, tan, all are mathematical functions. So if you want to use these functions in your program, you have the header file math.h, hash include math.h. So they are the predefined functions already defined in the library. So whenever you have the need, you can take, compiler will go fetch the functions and it will praise your program. So while discussing the structure of a C program, I have explained these functions. So now what are user defined functions? User defined functions are these. You can define your own functions and you can call them whenever and you can execute those functions. So function, what is the definition of a function? Function is a sub part of a program used to perform a specific task and is executed individually. While discussing the structure of a C program, documentation section, link section, definition section, global declaration section, main section, and the last program section is the subprogram section. All the subprogram section is all about the user defined section. So function is a sub part of a program used to perform a specific task and is executed individually. Advantages of functions: using functions we can implement the modular program because each and every the program is divided into modules and you can group them and you can execute that program. Functions make the program more readable and understandable. Using the functions, the program implementation becomes easy. Once a function is created, it can be used many times. So you can reuse the code for many times. Suppose in the last example, I have called the function here, sub is a function that was called here, and the control, this was initiated, control will go there, here, and it will execute. Suppose if I write again, sub, this is one time it was called, and sub, for the second time I have again written. So again the control will go here and execute that program. So C is equals to A minus B, printf, so printf and scanf, %d comma C. Next, void main. I have called the function sub. So for this one time, it will execute this code. And suppose if I write again sub here, so what you will get on the output screen? Enter the values. This is, imagine this is your output screen. Enter the values 10 and 2. Output will be 8. Suppose if I again call this function sub here, again it will ask, enter the values 5 and 2, 3. Suppose if I want to execute the same subtraction program for third time, again call the function, again it will ask, enter the values 4 and 3, 1. So how many times you want to reuse the code? You can reuse the code by simply calling the function. Function definition part will execute. So types of functions: system defined functions and user defined functions. System defined functions are also called as library functions or standard functions or predefined functions. The implementation of system defined functions is already defined in the system. So as have explained earlier. It is stdio.h, conio.h, math.h, string.h. If you want to use any string handling functions in your program, suppose if you want to calculate length of the string, you can use the function strlen. You can use the function strlen by simply writing hash include string.h header file. All these functions are predefined. They exist in string.h header file or strcat. If you want to concatenate any two strings, suppose take a string ABC, another string CSE. So if you want to combine these two strings ABC and CSE, you can use strcat function and you can combine these two strings. And math.h, power, cos, tan, square root, all the functions exist in math.h header file. These are the predefined functions that are already exist in the library. Next, user defined function. So now how to write a user defined function? How you will write a user defined function? How can you define your own function? In C programming language, users also can create their own functions. The functions that are created by the users are called the user defined functions. User defined function is defined as follows. User defined functions must contain the prototype like function declaration, function definition and function call. Function declaration is written above the main function. Suppose we have main, in some statements we will write here main function. You have to declare your user defined function. Declaration means it is the prototype of the program. So you have to define here. So let's see the syntax of function declaration. How to declare your function? It has return type, function name and parameters list. You can write here data types. Next, function definition provides the actual code of that function. Syntax of function declaration: return type, function name, data type, comma, data type, so on, semicolon. This is the syntax for function declaration. So this function declaration is written above the main function. Example, return type. Suppose my in the previous example I have taken two numbers for subtraction. So 10 and 2 are the two numbers. So the return type of 10 and 2 are integers. We have taken only integer values. So int function name sub of how many inputs we have given? 2 inputs. 10 and 2 are the two inputs. Just declare those two inputs data types. So this is how function declaration must be done. Next, syntax of function call. So function call syntax. Function name, list of parameters. Function name sub example. This is the syntax and this is the example sub. Function name is sub, user defined function. This is my own function I can create. Printf and scanf are predefined functions. These are the user defined functions. You can take any name. You can take add, subtraction, you can take any name you can take. Sub of list of parameters. List of parameters are how many values you are giving to subtract two numbers a and b. Just that's it. This is the function call. And syntax of function definition. Return type, function name, data type, space, variable 1, comma, data type, space, variable 2, so on. So example, int function name sub. For subtraction I am writing here data type int. How many inputs we have taken? A and B, 2 inputs. Int A, comma, int B. See, only the input parameters we will pass as the argument. Int sub of int A, comma, int B. So, this is function definition. Function definition and function declaration both must be matched. So, see this example. This is what addition program. Function hash include stdio.h. Why we need to include that header file? Because we are using printf and scanf in your program. Int addition. The name of the function is taken here as addition, and the return type is, I want to add only 2 integer values. So, the return type will be int. Int addition of int comma int. So, 2 data types, A data type integer and B data type integer, that pass them as the parameters in the function declaration. So, this is how function was declared. And the next thing, main function int num1 or comma num2 comma result. 3 variables were declared. You can take A comma B comma C also, A comma B comma C. Printf enter any 2 integer values, scanf %ld comma address of A comma address of B. Result is equals to addition of num1 comma num2 or A comma B. This is the function call, and after printing the result will be stored, the final value will be stored in the variable. Here we have taken the variable as result. So, this is the function call. This statement is the function call, addition of num1 comma num2. So, whenever the control sees this line, the control will go to the definition part where this function was defined. Here it is defined. So, function declaration, this is function declaration and function definition. Function definition is int addition of int A comma int B. So, function declaration, function definition both are same. Return A plus B. Suppose if I enter 10 plus 2, the answer will be 12. The control will take the back to the calling function, and the result 12 will be printed here on the screen. So, this is how you will have to write. If you want to write or execute the same code again, just write it again, addition of num1 comma num2. So, for the second time the code will execute. If you want to execute the same code for 3 times, just call the function for 3 times. So, this is how the prototype, the basic prototype, how we will follow while writing the functions. In the next session, we will see the categories of functions. That's all for this session. Thank you.